Alright, this is video 1.7. Today we're talking about function notation. Talked about functions, difference between a relation and a function. So now we're going to learn how to write the function notation. So function notation is pretty simple. You already know what like y equals 5x plus 3. You should be able to look at that and recognize that that would be a line. But that is not written in function notation. So function notation, you're not going to have that y right there. Instead of the y, you'll have something like this, where you have a letter. I've seen multiple letters used here. F is the most common one, but this means f of x. Okay, so what you'll do that way whenever you're wanting to evaluate for a number, so let's say we wanted to do, we wanted x to be 1, then the way we would write it in function notation is that f of x, so we're going to say if x is 1, this 1 is what we replace the x with. So it would be 5 times 1 plus 3. So if x is 1, the f of x, the function of 1, is going to be 5 plus 3, which is 8. Okay. From there, this is always going to be your output. And then this is your input. So if you were to make a ordered pair from it, it would be 8, 1. So let's evaluate some functions. For the function, we are going to evaluate it for f of 0. F is 0, f is a half, and f is negative 2. Okay, so here's our function. So when we solve for this, what we'll do is we'll rewrite it. We'll say f of 0 equals 7 minus 2 times 0, which is going to be 7 minus 0, which is 7. F of 1 half be 7 minus 2 times 1 half. That is 7 minus 1, which is 6. And f of negative 2 be 7 minus 2 times negative 2, which is 7 plus 4, which would be 11. So now we have points where if we wanted to, we could go in, sorry, not 7 there. We could go in and we can make a line. So our input was 1 half, our output was 6. Our input was negative 2, and our output was 11. So functions are really graphs. What we're looking at, the difference between an equation and a function, is really that the function is the intention of graphing it. So when we graph them, generally if you are given a function notation, you have x values that you're given, and you find your y values, and then you can graph it. Sometimes you'll be given your x and your y values. So for example, let's say we were given these domain and ranges. This is the maximum recommended heart rate for women by age. There's a formula where they get this from, but for an infant, their maximum heart rate is probably going to be about a 209. At 10 years old, it would be a 202 beats per minute. At 20, it's about 195 beats per minute. At 30, 188 beats per minute. And at 40, 181 beats per minute. So these are points where you could graph them. At 0, you would put 209 would be the point. At 10 on the x, then the y would be 202, because this is the x and this is the y. So here's our chart. So at 0 years of age, we would put a dot there. At 10, a dot here. At 20, at 30, and at 40. Now, these lines are not connected because this is a discriminant. I'm sorry, not discriminant, discrete function. They are specific points given for specific age ranges. So we would call it a discrete function. So if we are looking for the maximum recommended heart rate for men, and they give us the equation for figuring it out, your A is your age. You don't have a specific age that it is determined by, a specific point saying that 20 is where you go here. What we are given is the formula so that if we wanted to say at age 25 or age 26 or age 27. So in this case, it will not be a discrete function. It's going to be a connected line when we do it. So we're going to make a table. We'll put in our input ages, and then we will graph the points. So the table I made here, I chose the ages 0, 20, 40, 60, and 80. Doesn't have to be that at all. But what you do is you take your A and you put it in place here and you get an output. Okay. So then I plugged it in and I got a graph. So really all it is, so you've got equations where it would be y equals 2x plus 1, or you have function notation where it would be f of x is 2x plus 1, where you know which values to substitute for the x as you're making your points so that you can graph them. It's a pretty short video, pretty simple idea. Can't wait to do some practice problems tomorrow when you come to class. Have a good night.